gold. So there's nothing more that can be done with something of that nature than when you look at the analogy between money, which is basically printed paper, being able to even buy gold with it. So there is alchemy, it's already done. To look deeper into this, what we talked about last week was that money contains the frequency of everyone that is ever touched it and every transaction that it's ever been in. It contains the energy of that transaction. So thus, the individuals with very large amounts of money, like actual physical cash, not in the bank, are the ones that are doing the dirtiest deals here on the planet. So the one who has a house full of money is oftentimes a drug dealer, a weapons dealer, or something of that nature. So although that money has crossed over good people's hands, it's now in the possession of someone who's using it to do very negative things before it gets back to the bank so that it's again circulated out to everyone once more, or all of the fish, as they call them, or the souls once more. Now remember, look at the symbolism here. The word bank means the actual front part of a river or stream, etc. And so at the bank, the fish are to meet to get their current, and then they take it and they become webbed by it. Because if you notice in the background of all money, it has a web. In those webs, you will see things on the other side of those webs, which are actually spiritual beings, letting you understand that this is not a game. I want to take a quick pause to let everyone realize once more that everything around you is being portrayed as a game to Jedi mind trick you. Now they're making the world a game. It's a matrix. It's a holographic reality. They make you watch games all day. Soccer, tennis, football, you name it. Or those who don't like that watch game shows. And those who don't like that play video games. So the reality is here, they're telling you all around that this is a game. You know to do opposite. This is not a game. So money, as we talked about just a minute ago, is spreading its karma through this web that it's emitting through sacred geometry, because much of the sacred geometry is just in the symbol of a hexagon, which we know 100% is the main symbol of communication with everything here on this planet. That hexagonal shape is something that becomes formed around the individual when they begin to get involved in the ideas and the actions of this planet. And this becomes known as the mark of the beast. Now, I don't want everyone to get afraid and run out of the house and say, oh my goodness, we've taken the mark. Remember, all marks wash off. That they always are trying to tell you there's no way out. It's too late. You can't do anything. But the reality is that that's rhetoric. That the idea that they're pushing forth this reality is that they just want us to remain slaves any way they can. And their religions are the major component, and they're backed up by the money. And that's why the churches are never taxed, because they're into it too. And so what this becomes is money, if you notice it's in the rectangle shape, is money becomes a door to different levels of consciousness. It becomes a portal through its sacred geometry to a whole program, including pyramids, horn gods, demons from the other realm, and an individual in saying, I'm not involved in that, but still taking the currency and spending it, as it says, spin, which is the cycle of spinning or spiral. This is all related to current. When they spend the money and they begin to sell things, all of these words are the terminology given for when the individual is being binded as a spiritual being. So also keep in mind that towards the end of this show, I will be providing the solution of how a person can get unbinded from such things. But it becomes more important than anything to just make it very clear to everyone what exactly is happening. It's very important, especially during this time, because there is a big transition ready to take place. And you can make sure that you're on the right side of that transition if you just do what you know you need to do. And I'm giving you all the information for that now. So basically, when people begin to take this money The first, what you'll notice is that there's a difference between a country. Actually, before we get into this, I'm going to take a brief break because I'm about halfway through the show. But when we get into the next half, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about who, what favoritism was going on, who was bringing this. We're going to talk about how the sacred geometry really works. We're going to talk about when religions and deities are involved. We're going to talk about mainly also the trees and their connection to things and what maybe they have to say about all this. We're going to talk about certain individuals being forced, such as trees, to participate in certain things that we now know to be a large part of the esoteric nature of our reality. It's important for people to wake up, understand you're dealing with people that have their third eye and their third ear open. And so the reason why you're hearing some of this stuff that you've never heard before is because you can't hear it. But we can hear it, and we can help you hear it too. But it's still going to be about you and whether or not you can realize that actually ingest this information, and not just as information, but feel exactly what's happening. And so again, I'm going to take this brief break, and I'm going to check on the live stream. We're going to come back to this in just a brief moment.
Broke it down really good.
Okay, for those that are just tuning in, we ask that you tune in to our live stream now. That's www.livestream.com/understanding. And we're going to be going through some images here really briefly to start to explain some things. And we're just going to get out our stations here.
Down General Court. General Court, General Court. All hands man battle station.
Okay, we're at the battle stations, and this is what's happening. The reality is that what they're attempting to do is they're even attempting to convince us here at the resistance at times that what we're doing is not correct. It's a constant mind battle going on with those who attempt to keep us pacified and in this situation that doesn't appear to have ever changed just in doing just this, but for the first times for me, I've seen now enough information come across to completely remove a person from this equation of madness, or what I call the divided ones, playing around with the demons. So if you notice, like I said before, individuals have coerced other individuals to do certain things, just like they said in the original text that Satan convinced, or Lucifer, or whoever they want to say that did it, convinced a third of the angels to come with him so that they can develop other things. And that third is what we see where the constellation Alpha Draconis actually acts as a compass to show you the third of the beings that fell. And when that began to take place, people have to see now that it already happened. And we're actually on the rise again as far as being able to restore our original condition. If you think that this was your original condition right now, the way you are now, then you are horribly mistaken and in need of some tuning up. And that's what we're here to do. The reality becomes right now is that this, if you accept this as the original you, I can tell you now that there is higher states. This is nothing to do with one becoming like a god. In fact, we found out that God only means Yod, only means fire. If you want to just be complete fire and go burn everything up, then how long can you really do that before you would reach some level of frustration? Just like if you would be just water and drown in delusion, smother everything, how long would you be that before you hit frustration? It's important for everyone to know that we were created in with a positive and a negative and a neutral. And that's what three means. It's a very powerful thing if you can tap into it, but also the power has corrupted absolutely. Individuals that are not ready for such things have hurled themselves headlong into disaster. And so what we're going to talk about is how that began to happen for this world. And originally it became a concept off of someone attempting to get all of the goods of everyone else, but for nothing. Meaning, there's a couple of these currencies that show that these people had massive resources in these countries. Even one bill in particular shows on the left side that there's crystals and diamonds and gems that belong there. But meanwhile, you have one who I think goes under the name Ham. And he was devising on another side of the world on how to come and take that from everyone. Because just as if you read in the Cetiopigrapha, it explains that Ham began to conspire against his brothers because he was given the desert as his lot. And this is something that happened way before we got here, but if we want to keep denying that it's going on, then why is Ham, as you see in the war, they have General Ham now, keep attacking everything and everyone? And why is Ham some of the nastiest unclean meat that you could ever ingest? If you should not, like I said again, you should not be eating meat. There's one particular post that I want to put up. It's actually explains the repercussions for actually eating meat from a spiritual level because of, and this is done by the Spiritual Research Foundation, which is in India. I cannot convey to you enough in this time span that I have, and even this format that I have, what you need to do to get yourself in order. But I have all that information, and we have all that information connected with the Resistance website and the Wholeness Foundation. It's very important for people to keep sending out the message and also to keep supporting, because as we dig into this, for reality is that you would always want to contribute to someone who's doing something like this because it's really being done for you. It's just as simple as that. The further that we can go into it, the easier that we can make it for everyone to get themselves out of the situation as we become more and more creative. But straight up, the only way that a person, and I'm giving a solution now for those who don't have the time to listen all day, is those who want to get themselves out of this have to start looking at how they're planting their seed now, how they're planting their money. and where they're putting it. And can you make your money generate something positive to start digging you out of what appears to be a web? I believe that this ape